Okay, so imagine this. It's 7076. Everything smells like wet dog and unresolved trauma. People out here wearing knee socks and fighting for liberty with soup spoons and prayer. And there he is, George Mother Father Washington, standing 6'2" with a nose so sharp it could sign a treaty. Wig on fleek, like, dare I say, bro, look lucky bountifulness. Like, oh. This man didn't just cross the Delaware, he strut across it. Christmas Day, freezing, cannonballs, check. Boat, leaking, soldiers, shoeless, and crunchy. George, completely unbothered. Also, he didn't even smile, like, ever. Probably because his teeth were absolutely horrid. Scientists opened his mouth and said, "What in the actual hell am I looking at?" Hey, but bro still pulled. Martha took a little glance at his teeth and was like, "Ooh, yeah, this one." Also, bro didn't even have kids either. Instead, he raised a whole nation like it was nothing. His job was basically don't let America eat glue for 4 years straight, and somehow it worked. He invented I fear no man. But that thing, political parties, low-key scares me. And yet, they did it anyway. Bro blinked once and the treasury completely collapsed. Also, he refused to be king. Fully said, nah,
I'ma do my own thing.
Retired twice. Everyone else is like, let me cling to power until I rot into my wig. George said, I'm done, and went home to farm like a little farmer boy. Also, I forgot to mention his combat. Bro got shot multiple times and just didn't get hit. How does bro dodge mid-fight? Horses died underneath him and he just respawned onto a new one. I don't know if that's like some type of divine intervention, but bro Loki, I don't know how he did it. He's not S tier because he was perfect. He's S tier because he bent the course of time wearing thigh highs and a cursed tooth collection. Now fast forward. President Adams. Second President. The sequel no one asked for but still got funded. What did he do? Alien and Sedition Acts. Translation, he passed laws that basically said, if you make fun of me, I will cry, then deport you. John said, free speech is cute, but have you ever considered me being emotionally fragile? Alright, let's set the scene. He's like 5'7", standing on pure rage and powdered disappointment. The man looked like a founding Funko Pop. He was constantly yelling in cursive. He wrote like his school was on fire and his enemies were illiterate. And bro, did he have enemies. The man beefed like he was born to do it. Hamilton, beef. Jefferson, beef. His own party, beef. Martha Washington's cousin's dog, probably beef. And yet, he helped write the Declaration of Independence. While everyone else was trying to look hot in wigs and diplomacy, John was out here foaming at the diplomatic mouth, spitting straight enlightenment. Let's not ignore that he was one of the first-term president. Bro got up on the podium, tripped on the Federalists, and Jefferson stole his girl and his job. Bro shed tears. I wouldn't even blame him, to be honest. Bro didn't even go to the inauguration, said, nope, I shan't, took his little hat and went home. But here's the thing, the man had brain meat. He knew things, wrote things, predicted chaos like a colonial prophet. He defended the British soldiers after the Boston Massacre. Like, yes, they killed people, but have we considered morality? Bro made it hella obvious he had an allergy to being liked. He was also low-key a hater towards the vice presidency. I think bro was just a hater in general. Also, I do want to mention the letters with Abigail. Girl, those were 18th century love texts with literal footnotes. John said, my dearest friend, and proceeded to emotionally unload like a teenage girl with big crush. You know that man was kicking his little feet while talking to the hoods. And also, let's not forget this. Man had the literal midnight panic spiral and appointed 42 judges like he was speedrunning government. Man looked at the clock and said, I've got 15 minutes left in office. Let me just change the judicial system real quick. So no, he's not S tier. He didn't chop any trees. He didn't get any fan art. He didn't survive multiple horses being obliterated beneath him. But B tier? Absolutely. Alright, let's address the powdered elephant in the room. Tommy J was built like an academic cryptid. Man writes the Declaration of Independence like he's submitting a fanfic to AO3 titled Breaking Up with Britain, Heavy Angst. Bro woke up, rubbed his little enlightenment neurons together like an evil fly and penned, all men are created equal, while simultaneously being the landlord of human beings. He was fluent in Greek, Latin, French, and delusion. Invented a rotating book stand and thought, yes, this will fix America. Bro wrote 3,000 letters. For what? Who was he texting? The Enlightenment group chat? Dear Madison, here's my 17-page dissertation on my lunch. Owned 6,000 books, but did he ever read The Room? Debatable. He bought the Louisiana Purchase like it was Black Friday on Isle France. Pulled up with Monopoly money and said, I'll take half of the continent. Merci. Let's also not forget Monticello, his little DIY colonial Sims mansion where he invented a dumbwaiter and called it innovation. Meanwhile, his hairline was playing Manifest Destiny and receiving Westward with purpose. Also, was bro in love with France? Possibly. Oh, and he was definitely the final boss on writing things that sound noble, but then doing the literal opposite. Enlightenment ideals, but make it hypocritical. Bro said he was against big government and then bought 828,000 square miles of land. Sir, I thought you hated federal power. Why are you playing Minecraft with real geography? He was brilliant, he was confusing, he was problematic in italics. B tier because he carried the aesthetic of revolution but dropped the moral compass in the lost and found bin. Like, yes, king, write your letters, but also, what the helly? Alright, here he is, short king, standing 5'4", inventing the GPS with that horrid hairline. Lil Bro really thought he could go head-to-head with Great Britain in the War of 1812, a very bold move for a guy who barely had any military game plan. He said checks and balances, but couldn't check the British or balance his way out of the War of 1812. Got the White House turned into a campfire and still tried to act like it was part of the plan. He was smart, yeah, but only because his head was closer to the ground where the ideas be marinating. Fam helped create the Bill of Rights, but couldn't create a personality. Bro's charisma was absolute dookie. He married Dolly Madison, a certified baddie and a social icon. Like how we got McDonald's over here scoring baddies. I don't get it. So yeah, this man is very deserving of the sea. He makes me snore and there's nothing to him.
James Monroe. James Monroe was the 5th US president, but let's be honest, he had the impact of a decorative pillow. Like, yeah, he's technically part of the set, but nobody's writing essays about him without Googling him first. He's best remembered for the Monroe Doctrine, which basically told Europe to back off the Americas. Bold move for a guy who looked like he got lost on the way to the Powdered Wig Convention and just stayed in politics by accident. Monroe was president during the era of good feelings, which is history speak for nothing happened and nobody fought because everyone was too tired. It's not that he was good, it's just that the bar was on the floor and he successfully did not trip over. And those collars, sky high. Bro's neck was in solitary confinement. You could lose the Declaration of Independence draft in that thing. He pulled up to the meetings looking like he was being slowly eaten by a ruffle. Also, can't forget those shoes with buckles. Not on the belt, on the shoes. What did he think his ankles were gonna run away? Man tied his feet down like freedom was optional. So high-key, this man scores a C tier cause, personally, there's nothing to him. Sorry, king. John Quincy Adams. This man was smart. Spoke more languages than he had friends. He could negotiate treaties, write policy, and recite Roman poetry, all while looking like he's never laughed once in his life. He became president through the corrupt bargain, which is just a fancy way of saying nobody wanted him, but nobody wanted anyone else more. It was like America picked him because the other options were worse, not because he was great, the political version of settling for solid. He had his big dreams, national roads, universities, science centers. He really tried to turn America into an utopia. Problem is, Congress hated him and he had the personality of a drywall. So personally, C tier is best fitting for Mr. No Amigos.
Andrew Jackson? Man was the original Florida man with a mullet made of racism and rage. He was basically married to his gun, ready to shoot anyone, any day, anytime. Couldn't sneeze, move, or talk wrong because that man had his gun ready to point at you. So yeah, no wrong movement or you're getting shot. This man really said, what if genocide, but patriotic? And Congress low-key just let it slide. He hated banks so much, you'd think a loan officer stole his wife and shot his dog. Shut down the national bank and caused a depression so bad even his horse looked disappointed. Dude was built like a discombobulated monkey and ruled like a frontier Karen. Imagine electing someone who thinks the Constitution is a menu and just orders violence. He's on the $20 bill because that's just how much it costs to be a complete royal menace, whilst also running an entire country. B tier because there's no actual way this man is a real person. I'm not kidding, that man was actually a walking social experiment. Martin Van Buren? Oh, yeah, the human afterthought. Man had the charisma of a lint and still thought he was important. He really strut around like he wasn't Jackson's emotional support gremlin. His presidency had all the impact of a sigh in a hurricane. Whole country fell apart and he just stood there like, damn, y'all seeing this? Van Buren looked like if his sideburns were a personality. Bro had more hair on his face than ideas in his head. He was called the Little Magician, which makes sense since he made hope disappear, jobs vanish, and relevance evaporate. C tier because D tier felt like too much attention.
William Henry Harrison. Oh, William Henry Harrison, 9th President of the United States, or more like the free trial of presidencies. 31 days of pure bliss, then death like a Victorian child. Moving on from his one very short term, his election was as innovative as the cotton gin to slave owners. The innovator that brought slogans, rallies, and merchandise to campaigns, yet died before he could experience any of it. Giving him C tier because he reminds me of the Eras Tour. All he needs is a blonde wig. Let's get the man singing. Leaving his great campaign behind, he thought the best idea was to yap for 8,445 words in the freezing cold. Hot? Nah, too cool for that. Coat? Nah, who even needs that? Short inauguration speech? Nah, let me yap for 2 hours. And like all actions, they have consequences. His death came 31 days later, and you wouldn't believe it. Pneumonia. Yeah, talking for 2 hours in the freezing cold unprotected can do that. Not only did it take himself out, but imagine how many others who died hearing the man yap. Yeah, great way to go, Harrison. So realistically, campaigning, 1, immune system, 0. Leaving this man C tier because I would have loved to see what he actually would have done.
Oh, John Tyler, 6 feet of disappointment in America's first presidential side quest. Yep, he wholeheartedly went against his nation once William Henry Harrison's free trial was over. So much that the people literally called him His Excellency. He gets D tier for being the president that nobody expected or even wanted. Man got handed power by accident and acted like it was divine prophecy. Tyler was a wig, or more like he should have worn a wig, because dare I say that hairline wasn't receding, it was retreating. Vetoed his party's bills like he was speed running how fast he could get ghosted by Congress. And when the US was like, we're good, he threw a tantrum and joined the Confederacy. The man rage quit America and said, I'm with the ops now. D tier because you can't fail that hard by accident unless you're John Tyler.
James K. Polk. Honestly, a go. I would have to call him the nonchalant of presidents. So sophisticated and pretty underrated. I mean, he's literally on the dollar coin and I didn't even know until now. Polk had his goals and accomplished them, so respect. Starting to check things off his to-do list, he is known as the overachiever. He was the common white folk chanting, let's go west, give me land. So that's exactly what he did. He started and won the Mexican-American War, taking California, Arizona, New Mexico, and more like if they were on sale. After taking half of the United States and calling mine, he also created the US Treasury system, a very big deal at the time. Leaving these all aside, he also had a thing for war. I mean, it makes sense, right? But was also the man that ignored all the consequences to his manifest destiny, therefore leaving a big old mess for the Civil War. Ironic. Some might even call him a workaholic. He was a control freak and literally worked himself to death. No, I'm not joking. He literally died. 3 months later, no break, no nothing. He went straight from the White House to his deathbed. But he seemed like the dude that would even care, you know? Like he definitely just felt death coming and said, nothing on my to-do list? Nah, we're done here, and closed his eyes. I mean, literal goat. Did so well he ghosted the United States and never ran for a second term. See? Very nonchalant. So overall, James K. Polk is definitely A tier. Did he have his moments? For sure. But I mean, he basically overworked himself to death to give us half of the United States. So he is very deserving of that A tier. Zachary Taylor. Okay, so let's talk about Zachary Taylor, the man who literally became president by accident. Yeah, by accident. If you ever want to question the United States democracy, here you go. Also, have you seen this man's portraits? He looks miserable. Poor guy. Starting off, zero political experience. Yeah, none. Never even voted before. Yet people said, go be a great president. Genuinely, what was in the air during this time? He was a war hero from the Mexican-American War, apparently very famous for his muddy clothes, giving him the famous nickname, Old Rough and Ready. So what I'm hearing is no actual credentials for a president. Lovely. During this time, he refused to play politics, basically saying, let me just see what feels right today and make some decisions for an entire country, hoping that they never caught him in a bad mood. One of his good actions, though, was the fact that he actually opposed the expansion of slavery. Get it, King. However, like I mentioned before, not only was there something in the air back then, apparently also in the food, this war hero and president was taken down by cherries and milk. He survived an entire war but couldn't make it 16 months before eating bad cherries and milk. I mean, now I know why he looked miserable in all those portraits. Imagine being a war hero and getting taken out by fruit salad. I would be angry too. Overall, this man is simply C tier at most, because I actually don't care to see what he would have actually done.
Millard who? The 13th president and the human embodiment of beige. Took office only because my little buddy Zachary couldn't stomach some cherries and milk. Oh shucks. He wasn't elected, just sort of happened to the presidency. His biggest claim to fame was signing the Compromise of 1850, which kicked the slavery issue down the road and somehow got blamed by everyone. King couldn't stand the heat and doubled down on that with the Fugitive Slave Act, a law so dookie it felt like bro just wanted to get canceled. Bro's own party, the Whigs, basically disbanded out of embarrassment, and he tried to come back with a know-nothing party. America really did leave him know-nothing. You know how weak your presidency has to be when the most exciting fact about you is, I had running water in the White House. Like, wow, bro, plumbing, revolutionary. Personally, Snoozemore is best fitting as a D tier.
James Buchanan. Okay, so James Buchanan, the master procrastinator. President right before the Civil War, and honestly couldn't have picked a worse time to be president. Even with the increasing slavery issue, he genuinely just didn't care. I'm serious. He was a president and thought that exploiting slaves should not be the government's deal? Huh? Also, during his presidency, 7 states seceded from the Union, and honestly, he couldn't care less. He would have sucked in a romance movie, didn't care, and just allowed them to leave. This man could not compare to Adam's insane yearning. While the country was on the edge of collapse, he liked to write really long letters like, "Ref, do something. Nobody cares about your 12-page yapatron." Country over here falling apart, and Buchanan really said, "Let's do nothing, not my problem. Take in mind that's the president." Anywho, this man is D tier, calling him D-man. He didn't do anything.
The GOAT, the legend, the myth, Abraham Dripson. Man came in looking fly as hell and being bi as hell. First emo king. The way he got handed the worst patch notes in American history, Civil War, enabled, country falling apart, good luck, and still managed to absolutely clutch. No whining, no. Let's hear both sides. Get you a man that's both smart and hella tall. Everyone else back then was built like a prototype, and here comes my slender man GOAT. The guy couldn't even fit in the doorways properly, and yet he still managed to lead the Union Army, give historic speeches, and keep the US from uninstalling itself. But the real reason he's peaked here? He dropped that Emancipation Proclamation during the Civil War. Not after, not before, during. Bro paused mid-fight to get his little Shakespeare booty to work and freed gazillions. He saw the country ripping itself apart and said, cool, I'm also going to dismantle centuries of injustice while I'm at it. That's not politics, that's a side quest godhood. Let's also point out the fact that he wrote Gettysburg Address in 2 minutes. Like, okay bro, it takes me at least 20 minutes to figure out what the prompt for my English essays even mean. Bro pulled up, dropped 272 words that rewrote history, then dipped before people even got comfy in their chairs. Despite all of his goatness, our king was taking away from us far too soon. It's like the world couldn't handle all that. But of course, bro died in the peakest way possible. Lincoln was assassinated in a theater. He didn't even leave the world quietly. He went all dripped out during a play sitting front row, like he knew history would be watching, and he gave them a final show. Also, I just find it crazy that his wife, Heike, set bro up. She nagged to go to the play like there was no tomorrow and left with one less of a husband. Okay, but I do low-key have to diss the GOAT a little bit. He did own slaves, which, you know, is low-key, it's low-key bad. I would have put bro in A tier because of the slaves, but like, he's just too peak, guys. I'm sorry, S tier.
Andrew Johnson, the Oompa Loompa of presidents. Have you seen those frowns and non-existent smile lines? What a grumpy guy. I'm going to think he was just sad that Lincoln died. He was Lincoln's vice president, and even with his constant stank face, he tried to unite the country, and you want to guess, it backfired. Maybe Willy Wonka didn't allow that. Yet another president that fought so much with Congress that they tried to impeach him, basically barely keeping his job, and no one wanted him there. Take him back to the chocolate factory. He's D tier for being grumpy and stubborn. Other than that, suck it up, buttercup, make some chocolate. Ulysses S. Grant. Ever question who the man on the $50 bill is? No? Well, let me tell you of the underrated and quite often forgotten Ulysses S. Grant. Okay, so Grant was the lead general of the Union Army, having the strategy of just keep hitting them and won. Gotta give the man credit. He was insane, he saw insane warfare, and still continued to say, hey, y'all need me at the White House? Where do I put my horse? As president, he fought for civil rights and supported the 15th Amendment, and also went after the Ku Klux Klan. I mean, I love this liberal king. He honestly gave major dad vibes. Just the one thing that killed his presidency, his horrible hiring skills. Buddy over here trying to do the right thing, and his cabinet would get him into the corruption scandals. Whiskey ring? Yeah, that was them. Credit mobilier? Also them. Sad to see him get ripped into that. However, even though all he did was serve 2 terms and wore that president hat pretty well, leaving this man A tier. He did so much, but goes unrecognized. Love you, King.
Rutherford B. Hayes became president through what was basically a political coin flip. The 1876 election was one of the most messiest in US history. Votes were hella sketchy, states were having constant beef, and the whole country was shaking in their boots. So what do they decide? They cut a deal behind closed doors. The result? You let Hayes be president and we'll put federal troops out of the South. Truly, what a way to take the dub, or if you even want to consider it a dub. His presidency started with people already mad because he got the job, which is not the energy you want to be walking into your first day. But to his credit, he wasn't completely a mess. He was highly organized, disciplined, and actually tried to make the government less corrupt. Like, okay, King, oh, who is you? Just that he did it with the charisma of a sad little wet dog. Banned alcohol from the White House and served lemonade at parties, which is low-key fire. Rutherford Heike served a beautifulness beard in which he probably held all his secrets. And while he wasn't flashy, he did care about education, civil rights, and actually doing the job. He just wasn't great at making it memorable. He also only stayed for 1 term and called it a day. No drama, no desperate re-election preach, just full-on nonchalantness, and went back to home to Ohio like the little chill homeboy he was. I conceived no malice. So for that, I'd say A tier. Not very striking, but at least as a precedent, he wasn't a little evil mastermind. James A. Garfield. Poor little thing. Also with a very nice long beard. He looked very mysterious. Very smart man, and had some good ideas as well, better morals and goals for the United States. After so many mess-ups with the government corruption, he wanted to clean up the spoil systems. However, this backfired on the poor guy. Enter Charles Guiteau, a bitter man who wanted to cheat his way up to the political ladder. Let me simplify this. He wanted to bribe his way into a job, didn't work with Garfield, he got mad, and he did the little pew-pew thing on him. Oh no. Well, now comes an event sadder part. Garfield was shot in July and didn't die until September. Can you imagine? Waking up every day for 3 months, being constantly poked at, and then just dying. I mean, at that point, just shoot me right the first time. Guiteau really wanted him to suffer. Realistically, Garfield stands at a D tier because if history taught me anything, it's to keep things private. Literally, the one good thing he stood for killed him. So basically, Chester A. Arthur wasn't supposed to be president. He was supposed to be a background character, twirling his little fancy mustache and handing out jobs to his little muchachos. He got packed as vice president because people thought he'd just fart around, a decoration if anything. Then pew. President Garfield gets assassinated. Imagine you wake up one day and suddenly you're president. The entire country full-on expected him to be a walking bum. But instead, they acquired a whole new redemption arc. He went from being a sketchy, corrupt fella to someone who actually did his job. Let's go. Mid-season character development twist. He signed the Pendleton Act, which basically made it illegal to give out government jobs like candy at a party. Which is wild, considering he used to do exactly that. It is like if Donald Trump was suddenly against orange people. But Chester wasn't just about reform, he was low-key dripping in style. He pulled up to the White House talking about wanting 80 pairs of pants and a mirror in every corner of his room. His nickname was literally Gentleman Boss. Woke up awesome as heck every day, leaving the husband bewildered by the completely bomb fits. He even dripped down the White House. He turned the place into a Gilded Age Pinterest board. And the ending? Instead of desperately clinging to power, he bowed out after 1 term and said, nah, I'm good, and went on his merry way. If that's not peak, then I don't know what is. Heike A tier.
Grover Cleveland. Can't decide if I like him or if he's a creep. He actually just gives beer belly uncle, or his wife could probably call him that. So he was the 22nd and 24th president. Yeah, only president with a sequel. Really said, thought you were done with me? Nah, surprise, Sade, I'm back. Also, apparently he vetoed over 500 bills. Damn, Congress would literally send him a bill and he would just swipe left. Also was constantly blamed for the Panic of 1893. Oh, and other than being the beer belly uncle, he married a 21-year-old in the White House, the daughter of his former law partner. Yeah, dude's definitely a creep. Oh, apparently got some sort of surgery on a fake fishing trip and came back with a new twirly mustache and a mysterious lack of double chin. Excuse me, didn't know the 1800s was popular in plastic surgery and pedophilia. Proudly leaving this man D tier, cause genuinely found more dirt on this man than any good.
Oh, Benjamin Harrison, the sequel to his not very long-living father. Benjamin Harrison was president for 4 years and somehow left the memory of a guy who only worked there for 2 weeks. Man's really served a full term and still feels like his presence wasn't even a presence during that time. He got elected mostly because his opponents were absolute duke. So basically he won by technicality. America didn't pick Harrison. It just happened to stumble on him. Loki, when he was in office, he actually did stuff. Like actual laws, real policies, but all with the charisma of a drywall. He could be passing huge legislations and you still wouldn't even remember if he was breathing in the same room as you. His presence was so faint he blended with a beige wall. This dude was the one who had the electricity installed in the White House and refused to touch the light switch because he was so sure he'd get electrocuted. Installed lights, was too afraid to turn them on. How daring. His administration spent $1 billion, a literal billion, back then when that number meant something, and didn't even get cool points for it. No wars, no massive victories, not even a good scandal. Just him, electricity, and debt. Good for you, Benny boy. C tier for effort.
William McKinley. Oh, William McDonald's? He was low-key nonchalant and literally built an empire while sipping a McDonald's Diet Coke. He was quiet and super chill, yet still started the Spanish-American War and ended up taking Puerto Rico, Guam, and the Philippines. Oh, and also Hawaii, just because. He loved those high tariffs and really liked America. Yet again, everyone was getting assassinated. So the same old, got shot by a guy somewhere and blah, blah, blah. Pretty beige. So McDonald's, you get D tier because I genuinely couldn't care less if you were assassinated. I didn't even know.
Oh, Theodore Roosevelt, the man who had to step up because homeboy Cleveland was just as unforgettable as the next guy. The man that was a personality disorder with a desk. He woke up every morning choosing absolute violence. He didn't run for office. He head-on launched himself to it. He treated life like it was a speed run. Dude got bored for a millisecond and the next thing you know, he was out here constructing the Panama Canal. He looked at South America like, what if there was just less of it? And then made it happen. Just because. You think modern politics are aggressive? This man got so pressed at corporations, he just started banning them like there was no tomorrow. Industries got drop-kicked left and right. Also, he was allergic to staying still. He'd finish a full workday, then go hiking, then write a whole book, then suddenly he's out here fighting a mountain lion. What did the mountain lion do to bro? And somehow he'd still be up in time to yell at Congress. He had asthma as a kid and said, I'm gonna beat it by punching the air harder. His own party had to come up to him and told him to chillax. And when they did, bro did not like that. He created a new party and called it the Bull Moose Party? Whatever that means. So if anything, he's very deserving of a B tier. William Howard Barf. I mean Tarf. Never mind, his name is Taft. Okay, so William Howard Taft. The guy who never wanted to be president, he just wanted to be a judge, but Teddy Roosevelt basically peer pressured him into running. Dude got into office and was like, can I go home now? He actually busted more trusts than Teddy, but no one cared because he wasn't loud about it. He was built like a beanbag chair and moved like one too. Yes, he got stuck in a bathtub. They had to build him a custom one, the size of a hot tub. I don't know about that, but it's like the opposite of an Ozempic final boss. Take him to that one restaurant where you have to weigh to get free food. Dude, that man can be fed for days, even though he looks like he doesn't need any more food. Then Teddy came back like a jealous ex, ran against him, and they both lost. Taft said bet, and finally became a Supreme Court justice, which is what he wanted all along. So yeah, Taft didn't get the job, got bullied into it, got stuck in a tub, and bounced. Low-key, a man gotta do what a man gotta do. C tier, because high-key, how do you get stuck in a tub, bro? He had to rebuild the whole thing. Okay, so Woodrow Wilson, the professor turned president. Man pulled up like a whole ass geek and said, let's make everything super mega nerdy. He got elected, started the Federal Reserve, created the League of Nations, and gave so many speeches about world peace. World peace, but yet you're still a super big racist. So yeah, this man was out here talking about world peace and was the biggest racist known to man. Like, segregated the government again, kind of racist. Dragged the US into World War I after trying so hard to stay out, then had a whole stroke and just didn't tell anyone? His wife basically ran the country for a year while pretending he was fine. She full on said, oh no, yeah, my husband's just sleeping, and no, he literally wasn't. So yeah, Wilson, nerdy, preachy, didn't like fun, got wrecked by a stroke, and his wife became a low-key president. F tier for freak out of here, buddy. Okay, so Warren G. Harding, the accidental president. Not the only one, because literally, I don't know why there's so many accidental presidents. How is that possible? This man ran on a campaign of let's return to normal. And America was like, say less. And elected him. Basically because he looked presidential. His jawline was low-key fire. Harding was out here mewing before mewing was even popularized. He didn't really do much himself, just handed power to his sketchy friends, a group known as the Ohio Gang, who immediately started robbing the government blind. Harding, clueless, spent most of his time playing poker, drinking, and writing weird love letters to his side chick, who literally called him Jerry. My guy, your game is literally non-existent. What are you doing? So yeah, Harding did nothing. He hired criminals and wrote freaky letters and said bye-bye. Barack Obama. Personally, I rate Obama S tier because he actually got stuff done without turning it into a complete mess. He fixed a crashing economy, passed major healthcare reforms, and kept a steady hand in chaotic times. The guy's speeches were almost enjoyable, which is wild for a politician. Also, guys, do you guys remember the Harry Styles affair, guys? Let's also not forget he absolutely nuked Osama bin Laden. Okay, but despite the goods, he did have some negatives. His healthcare rollout was a disaster nobody wanted, and the drone strikes, I don't know, bro forgot or something, but this is no Call of Duty. Still, compared to most, he was the least messy mess in the room. So I'd still go for S tier.